morning everyone. Day 5 today, I think Thursday. Yeah. Start losing track of time. Feeling really good. Just had a wonderful night's sleep at a little area here called Beche or Beche. It's by a lake. It's all really peaceful. It was lovely. So I'm just setting out today. I've got to find Alan en route. Bon dias. He's going to come and meet me because I'm just going to be a little bit off the beaten track. We can't find a proper air, so we're going to park up near a cemetery. As Alan said, down a dead end, which really made me laugh, but he didn't actually mean that. So yeah, it's a shorter hike today. I think it's going to be about 10 miles. Really looking forward to it. I feel so strong and it's great. I'm outside in the fresh air with the sun on my face most of the time. A bit cold now. Oh, look at this, all the oranges on the tree. Isn't that wonderful? So, as I always say, less waffling, more walking. So this is really sad. I just came across these like little huts and wondered what the hell that was moving. I don't know if you can see, but there's some sort of fur animal in there, and they're all absolutely mental. They're all repeating really repetitive, horrible behaviour. They're in tiny little cages, just running up and down the wall. It's sad. I think fur's a big thing in Europe. I don't know, that's just put a bit of a downer on my day really. I'm just going to have a little shout out for my shoes. These are my Solomons. I bought them about a year ago. They're a little bit worse for wear. I got them from Blacks in Lincoln, and when they fitted me, they gave me a size 8 and I'm normally a size 6, and I was just like, that's never going to work. But I've walked in them, building up to this, and I just want to say that if you're going to do any big walking, always bed your shoes in. As I say, I've had these a year. They're starting to fall to bits now, but I think I have got some others. I've got some Brooks trail runners, and they're all bedded in, but I think probably when I do the Française, if the weather's reasonable, I'll see how I go with these, because I haven't had a minute's problem. I've got a plaster on one heel. Oh, sorry, excuse me. That was a little coffee burp. I have got a plaster on one heel, just because I had a little bit of a hot spot. But that was before I started walking. So I just think, well, just keep it covered up, and then it's not going to cause any problems. So yeah, get your feet sorted, look after them, get them properly moisturised. I'm not really into all this wearing 2 pairs of socks, and I'm not really into all this putting Vaseline on your feet. I just have them how I would normally have. But just look after your feet, ladies and gents, because otherwise you can't walk. Well, you could, I suppose, but it wouldn't be any fun. And look at this. Look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? Great big shepherd dogs looking after the little lamb. That's wonderful. What good doggies. Good doggies. They really are lovely. It's like that one that I found in Turkey, and it came for a walk with me that day. She's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Look at the little lamb with it. Isn't that gorgeous? Morning everybody. Well, it's day 6 today. Quite a cold start. I've set off and the sun's coming up. I say this every morning, don't I? I stopped at a little bar in Siguiero, something like that. You'll see it if you're on the path. And ordered my coffee in my best Spanish, and a lovely young girl served me my coffee, and she's called Rojeo, which I imagine is sort of like Rose and she was brought up in England and then moved back here, and we were just talking about the state of the world and state of the country and how things are. But please, if you're here, do come and support all these little cafes and bars and give them a tip, for God's sake. You know, your large coffees probably about €1.50, so it's far cheaper than at home anyway, and they're always so delightful, and they keep all their facilities lovely and clean, and they keep them open for us walkers, as well as for the local people. So do please come and support them. Can you see all the drips coming off the tree now that the frost is being burnt off by that sun? It's just so incredibly beautiful. Today I'm heading towards, I don't know if you can see through the trees, there's a main road up ahead, and I have to walk beside it for quite a long way until we get to Siguiero. I say we, the royal we, until I get to Siguiero. And I'm going to meet Alan on the outskirts, and then I will have to go for a beer or a coffee, just to get my second stamp of the day, because as the lovely Rosia told me today, there's nowhere to get your stamp in between her cafe, which I did stop at, and Siguiero. So we'll head off there. It's been quite nice today. I came across an old lady walking, and although I don't speak Spanish, let's get it right. I know that muy frío means it's very cold, because it has been today. It's nearly midday. In fact, it probably is midday now, and we've still got frost on the ground. So you can see my marker coming up. I have an app on my phone which just shows me that I'm on the right path, but most of the time it's just done with the markers, and then I'll just check the map every now and again. Oh, here we are back on the road again. On the road again. I've been singing at the top of my voice today. All sorts of songs, really. Kate Bush hasn't featured today because it hasn't been hilly. She tends to get it when I'm walking up a hill. But yeah, lovely. Don't know what they're growing there. Morning, everybody. It's my last day of the Camino Ingles today. It's freezing cold, but it's lovely, very good. The Camino takes you in Siguiero through a little park, and it's right next to the swimming baths here, which sadly aren't open at the moment, and past these commemorations of people who've walked the Camino. The only recorded female pilgrim of the 15th century, Mary Kemp. The first documented Hungarian pilgrim. Wow. So there you go. So I'm going to catch up with the way again now. Set off. I thought in the middle of the night about giving you a little bit of insight into who James the Greater, Santiago, was, and obviously he's the patron saint of Spain, but who historically this figure was meant to be. So I'll do that when I get out in the countryside. Okay, so we've walked a little bit out of this beautiful, well, it's not even a beautiful city, it's a modern town of Siguiero, but very pleasant. We're on the back roads now, so I thought I'd give you my take on who the heckers is Santiago. Well, we know him as St. James the Greater, which either might mean older or it might mean taller, nobody really knows. And Jesus was doing his stuff, and he came across James and John, who were brothers, and said, will you follow me? So they joined up with Peter, and they became like the three head honchos of the 12 apostles. Now, he was a bit of a hothead. I was thinking about this in the middle of the night, and I thought, without causing any offence to anybody who has any belief, but like Jesus was all like, hey, like love and peace, man, like old people like me will remember the young ones. And he was a bit like Neil, Jesus. He was like, no, hey, no more smiting. And James was a bit more like Vivian, wanting to go around and headbutt everybody. So anyhow, they all set up and they had a whale of a time, and everybody knows the story about how Jesus was crucified and stuff, and then came back to life after 3 days. That's Easter. And then the apostles were a bit like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Because by then Jesus had gone up to heaven. He'd been ascended into heaven, and they were quite frightened. They locked themselves away in a room and didn't know what the hell to do. They thought they were going to be the next. So anyway, after 40 days, and 40 days is quite an important period of time in the Bible. 40 days happens quite a lot. So after 40 days, the Holy Spirit appears to them and basically kicks them up the bum and says, look, you weren't here for a laugh, lads. Get yourself out and do your discipling, or apostling, or whatever they call it. I don't know the difference between an apostle and a disciple. So they all set off, and they go off to various places. And the story is, and whether or not it's true, the story is that St. James came to Iberia, so came to Galicia, and anyway, he was trying to convert everybody, and everybody was like, nah, get lost, we're having a great time, we don't want to hear about this Jesus bloke. So he sat down by the river Ebro, by the city that is now of Zaragoza, and he was like, oh God, literally, probably, oh God, what the hell's going to happen here? Nobody wants to listen to me. And then Mary, Mother of God, because there's lots of Marys, although she was living in Jerusalem at the time, she bilocated, which is a big thing, and she appeared to him on a pillar in Zaragoza and said, build my church here and people will come. A bit like Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams, you know. So he builds the church, and sure enough, it's a big hit and people start coming. So I don't know quite why, but then he decides that he's going back to Jerusalem, and blooming Herod is had enough of this by now, King Herod. So he cuts James's head off. So seemingly that's the end of that. So he there's various tales about how he gets back, whether it's in a spaceship or a rudderless boat, but other people say it was his disciples put him in a boat and brought him back to Galicia, where he'd preached, but the ship was wrecked, and when it was found, it was all covered in cockle shells, and that's why we have the cockle shell as the symbol of St. James. So anyway, you'd think happy days, so they bury him. But then the monastery where he was buried, or the field where he was buried, goes out of use, and nobody really knows where St. James is buried until a monk about 1,000 years later has a sighting of him in his head, and he says he will be in the field of stars, as in Compo, meaning field, Stella, meaning stars. So that's why it's Compostella. And sure enough, they looked for his grave, and there it was. Oh, thank goodness for that. So they built the cathedral at Compostella, and you'd think that would be it, happy days. So everybody starts doing pilgrimages to Santiago. Should also point out that because Santiago himself, St. James, is the patron saint of Spain, when they were fighting the Moors, which I don't think Jesus would have been down with, really, because he was, as I say, he was a bit love and peace man. Santiago appears out of nowhere on a white charger and slays the Moors. That's why he's sometimes known as Santiago the Moor Slayer. So I'm going to go and have a look at the Compostela today. It will be the end of my journey, and you used to be able to go and hug the effigy of St. James, but I think they've stopped that because of COVID. But I don't know, we'll find out today. So onwards. This water is everywhere. It's just so clear and beautiful, and it runs right by the track almost everywhere you are. Gorgeous. I've just climbed up a bit of a beastly hill. Don't suppose it was that bad really, but time for a drink. About to take my jacket off. My word, that water's cold. It was so freezing when I set off today, and now look at it, gorgeous. Just got just under 9 kilometers to do. Just got another hill to crest. I don't know if that's the last hill and then it's all downhill, but I'm very excited to see if I can see Santiago in the distance soon. Yeah, I think that'll be quite a special moment. It's just so quiet. Apart from me, my great big sticks. But the smell in these forests, it's just like, I imagine heaven will smell like. Not that I'll probably ever get there, but you know, I'll do my best. But it's so fresh. Well, I can't even describe it. I don't have the words for it. But do come. Eucalyptus. I don't know why they grow so much eucalyptus around here. Maybe it's an, what to call it? You know, like a native tree. I really don't know. But they're in massive plantations. But the smell is unbelievably lovely. Hello, you pair, for the very last time. Well, this time.
For this trip, yeah.
Okay.
How you doing?
Good.
Okay.
I'm filming you, you're filming me.
Oh, right.
Well,
I'm going to get off then.
Spooky. I think this might be the back end of where the cathedral is over there. So we're just going to have a walk round and see. This is Santiago de Compostella. Alan came and met me earlier, so he's walked down the last few miles with me, haven't you? Buffy's complaining she's tired. Keeps throwing herself on the ground every time we stop. It's a pretty little town, or city. I'm not sure, I just missed my turning, but...
No, it's for
Oh, a peregrino. Hospitalero. Oh no, right on it. But it gets narrower and narrower as you get down. And noisier. Oh, yes it is. Oh, very strange and inviting little bars, which I'm sure we'll be getting a little bit of. Yeah. Oh, that's not it, no. It's always the last little bit that gives you grief. Yeah, I think we're still right. This here represents the Botafumerio, which is the big incense burner that they swing periodically throughout the year. And should you feel inclined to pay 400 quid, you can also get it done. Wowza! Look at these beautiful places. I bet this place hasn't really changed a great deal in the past few hundred years. Oh, and there is the cathedral. You can see all the people up on the top. I'm just going to keep this running because I think it's nice to document your walking. I've put some coinage out for the musician, but it's in my bag, so I'll have to sort it out in a bit. So, after all the days of walking, Alan's just sorting me out. I've probably just been taking pictures of the sky all day.
It's a good job it's on wide angle.
Yeah, but all these days of walking now. We'll come back and put some money in the box in a bit. See, it's not just Scotland that has bagpipes. And here we are. Wow, finally some more other pilgrims. It's a good feeling.
Good on you. Well done you.
Just trying to find the pilgrims office now. We've come out of the main square, asked the very lovely lady at the cathedral, and unless she's led me on a wild goose chase, it should be down this road here. She did say it was open till 6 o'clock, so it might take me that long to actually get it sorted. I just imagined it would be sort of like up either on the square or near the square, but it isn't really. Down here is, you see the yellow sign, that's where you go and pick up your post, I suppose, if you're having your bags sent on, or you want to send yourself a little postcard home. It smells nice. I don't know what it smells of, but it's a very sweet smell. This is it, I think. Yep. And in here. Right. Now there was something about a QR code, so I'll come back to you.